Good evening, folks. It's late at night. I've been scrolling the YouTube channel tonight, and there's a lot going on about what everybody's thinking is going to happen tomorrow. For 3 years, I've been screaming about the rights of the mentally ill, the rights of felons, the rights of the small group of society that everybody deems too dangerous. Not very many people's listen. Few people's listen. Tomorrow, there's probably going to be a lot of you who won't become felons, but you'll become criminals. In order to become a felon, you have to first be caught and then convicted. No stolen valor, guys. Quit saying it. My point is, tomorrow, somebody's probably going to make a decision with a swipe of a pen to further infringe on your right to keep and bear arms. Rights are natural, they're granted to us by God, they're unalienable, which means never without. In my Gift to You video, I explain that even the people in prison still have the right to keep and bear arms. And if you understood the Constitution, you would understand the reason the founders never give government the authority to strip, restrict, take, whatever you want to call it, rights, is because if they did that, they wouldn't be a right. So they worded the Fifth Amendment in a way that the community could prosecute people who commit crimes. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That little clause right there is what gives the community the authority to prosecute somebody for committing a crime and for government to stay out of it. Notice the word rights isn't used. That's because rights are unalienable, never without. People's like, oh, they go to jail, they can have a firearm. Well, I didn't say that. I said they have the right to keep and bear arms. But through due process, their liberty to utilize their property, the firearm, has been restricted. They can't do it. And there's going to be the people that say, well, you lose your right to keep and bear arms if you go to jail or if you're a felon. You don't lose your right to practice the religion you choose, or to speak freely, or to be free from having troops quartered in your home, or to be free from to be secure in your purses, places, things, and effects. What I mean by that is outside the jail, if you're going through due process, they can't just walk in your home without a warrant. You have the right to an attorney. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to trial by jury. Should I keep going on? We've all been lied to. We've all been lied to because when we allowed, as a society or a government, to decide at the swipe of a pen, it can take somebody's rights away, and we agreed with it as a society. I'm not saying that I never have. I just woke up to the facts. What we did was we allowed government to come down the road to where we're at right now. This all started with the violent felons in the 1934 NFA. By stripping their rights from them. People don't understand that the violation of one individual's rights is a violation to all individuals' rights. So if the government violates your rights, they're also violating my rights. And it's up to me to protect you from that happening. It's up to each one of us to protect the next person. It's untelling what's going to happen. But if you're one of those people that's, oh, they're going to make us felons overnight. If you're one of those douchebags that say that stupid shit, you, more than anybody, should be fighting for the rights of the mentally ill, for the felons, for the domestic abusers, for the DUI people in some states where they catch a DUI and they can never own a firearm again, according to law. We're about to start hitting rocky roads, man. I'm looking forward to seeing all the keyboard warriors stand up. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they'll make excuses. They might pass out free. We'll give you a free tax stamp, says the government. And anybody that accepts that tax stamp is admitting that they're an enemy of what they are exactly what they claim to be against. They're an enemy of freedom. We're going to continue down this path until it's stopped, until the people enforce the Constitution on our government. It's going to keep going. We're going to be in this downward spiral nonstop until that happens. In order for you to be able to enforce the Constitution, you have to know the Constitution. You have to know what it is. It's our restriction on government. It's my restriction on government. It's Christie's restriction on government separate from me. It's Redbone Smith's restriction on government separate from us. And in a collective document, we put those restrictions on government. Meaning that the felon put those restrictions on government. So government cannot violate the felon's rights. If you haven't read the Constitution, front to back, up and down, backwards, and you don't know it, you need to get in it. And when you read it, go read the Federalist Papers or listen to them. They're on YouTube. The Anti-Federalist Papers. Every letter and journal entry you can find from the founders. The founders never gave government any authority over our rights. Now, second, when you're doing this, you need to also learn how our government's designed to operate. They've created an atmosphere today where if you hear sovereign citizen, you've been trained to think that is a bad thing. This country was built by sovereign citizens. We're all sovereign citizens. That's why we have rights. We're free. Huh? What? Huh? Right, but we're sovereign citizens. We're not citizens subjects. We're sovereign. We're not sovereign citizens. You're actually correct. Christy caught me slipping. Because a citizen, if you look it up, it means that you are loyal to a government and a subject to said government. Isn't that what it means? Isn't that what it really means?
What is it?
You're loyal to government and subject to said government. But anyway, we're sovereign beings, regardless. That's what we are. That's why you have rights. That's why government doesn't have authority over you. But they've created an atmosphere where they use that term sovereign citizen and make it into a bad thing. The only thing that's bad about it is the citizen part, because you're not a subject. You're free. We are free to do whatever we choose. Anything. As long as it doesn't violate the rights of the person standing next to us, to our left or right. And feelings don't matter. If it hurts your feelings, that is a you problem, not a rights violation problem. People who commit crimes or are immoral, they have the right to keep and bear arms. They don't have the right to commit immoral acts because it violates somebody's right. They've trained us to combine these things into one thought. That guy killed that guy. And it goes back to the gun. The gun's the problem. The problem is that bitch was evil and he did some evil shit. And that person was probably not protecting themselves because of the laws that government has created. They created these laws to make you a victim. Because if they can make you a victim, they can justify why they need these forces to stand around and rule over you. It's a fact. And they do the same thing with welfare. At the end of a barrel, they take your money or they force you to pay it. It's called extortion. If you don't pay it, something will happen. If you want to find out, don't pay it. They take that money, and that money then feeds those who will not ensure their own survival. We have families 4 generations deep on welfare today in this country. It's not because they can't find a job. It's because they don't have to. Government will take care of them. And government will make sure that you pay for that. Statistically speaking, it's factual. You can go look it up. 80% of all crime, especially violent crime, is committed by the lowest 20% on an economic scale. So the lowest 20% of annual income in the country commits 80% of the crime. So now they've created another situation for crime to happen to justify the state-hired thugs that will be enforcing these whatever they decide to do tomorrow. There are states like Missouri, Arkansas, some other states that are trying to pass some acts that say that federal gun control is null and void in their state, which is fine, but it's not what it does, at least not yet in any of the states I've seen. And I've read over all of them. Until they give it teeth by saying that the state will arrest any federal agents acting under the color of law inside the states, violating the 10th Amendment in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, they don't have teeth. It's just words on paper. It's pandering. And when the federal agents come arrest somebody in one of those states, they'll just blame it on the feds. Well, we made a law saying they couldn't do it. No, you made a law saying that your officers can't do it. All those states, you guys need to be calling your governors, calling your legislatures, and forcing them to amend the law and allow anyone in the state to arrest any federal agent acting under the color of law. Remember, guys, you're going to be a criminal probably tomorrow. You're going to be committing a felony tomorrow. And if you're caught, you will be a felon. Did you give government permission to take your rights away? No, you didn't. Just like no felon has. None of the mentally ill have. You, me, nobody has the right, even if everybody but one person in the country agreed this one person should not have firearms, we don't have the right to do that. We have the right to protect ourselves, to get the best training that we can so we can be ready if that person ever tries to harm us. It's called responsibility. Freedom is dangerous. It's better than peaceful slavery. And it comes at a price. I've said this for 3 years now. Freedom has always come for the same price throughout history of mankind and governments. It costs blood and it costs lives. You not only have to be willing to give those things, blood and life, you have to be willing to accept that price too and take it. It's a sad fact, but it's still a fact. And most of us just want to be left alone. I just want to be left alone. I don't ever want to see anybody harmed. Nobody. I think the country is fed up. I think they're fed up with what's going on. I think they're pushing people into a very dangerous situation where it's not only going to be dangerous for those that are now committing felonies. And don't claim to be a felon until you get caught and you get charged and get convicted. And we call that stolen valor. That's what somebody told me tonight. Don't say that. That's stolen valor. I was like, that's funny shit. Really, there's no reason to be laughing at them guys. For everybody that's been calling for civil wars and you might just get what you want. I don't want it. I've never been in war, but I'm smart enough to know that war is not fun. I'm smart enough to know that people get hurt during war. I'm smart enough to know that all wars are funded by someone who's going to make money from that war. Usually they fund both sides. In World War II, the Rothschilds did. They funded both sides of the war. War creates money. The whole world pretty much just had a year-long shutdown for the most part. And now we see what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. Now Russia is mobilizing nuclear-capable mortars that can shoot 500-pound warheads up to 6 miles, I think is what it was. Imagine if dumbass backs Ukraine. China will back Russia. Everybody's worst nightmare is about to happen. Then again, some of you called for it and wanted it. Just be prepared, guys. And like I said, I've been saying it for years. And if you don't understand it, you should understand it now. Most people's going to justify it, though. They're going to justify why that person over there, who the government deemed mentally ill, can't have a firearm. But they didn't commit a crime. That's what they're going to be saying to themselves. I didn't commit no crime. I bought this before Joe Biden did that. They didn't commit a crime either. They're just mentally ill. But if they can save the money, or somebody gives them a firearm, more power to them. What about you and protecting you? Freedom comes with a lot of responsibility. A lot. Probably more responsibility than anything else in your life. Freedom comes with. Now, we don't know that because we've all taken freedom for granted. Really, we've taken slavery for granted because none of us in our lifetimes have actually been free. We've been free to do as we are told we can do. That is called slavery, my friends. Our masters telling us we can go out in the field and work, pay them their tax, live our lives buying shit that we don't need, and then you can own this or that until we decide that you can't. That's not freedom. I hope what's going on really wakes a bunch of people up. It could. It could be a good thing. This could turn out to be a really good thing, as long as we don't get involved in the Russia-Ukraine shit. I really truly hope. I know better, but I hope all those good cops you guys keep talking about show their faces to stop the few bad apples.